Dear Leo, you didn't land on this video by accident. You were guided here because something sacred is shifting in your life starting this Sunday. The life you've known, the version of yourself you've been surviving as, is no longer the one you're being asked to carry forward. Right now, as you hear these words, something within you is rising. You can feel it. You may not be able to explain it, but you know deep down your destiny is being rewritten. Sunday is not just another date on the calendar. For you, Leo, this is a divinely appointed moment. A spiritual reset. The gates of heaven are opening not for the world in general but for you. What's coming is not small, it's not subtle, and it's not random. It is bold. It is personal. It is sacred. And it has your name written all over it. This is a divine activation. You've walked through the fire lately. You've waited patiently, you've trusted when things made no sense, and you've held your heart steady in the quiet places where God seemed silent. But silence is never absence. What felt like a delay was actually divine preparation. Every door that didn't open was heaven's hand gently guiding you to something greater than you imagined. And now, Leo, the shift begins. You were born to lead. To awaken. To shine. You are not here to stay small, to blend in, or to survive in the shadows of your past. Sunday marks a spiritual threshold. The version of you that's been waiting? That version has outgrown its shell. You are stepping into a new spiritual frequency where things align not by force, but by flow. You don't have to chase anymore. You simply have to align. So if you've been feeling those little signs, those repeating numbers, that tension in your chest like something is about to break open, this is your confirmation. Sunday is your launch point. The divine wind is shifting. And it's carrying you higher. Before we move deeper into this sacred message, allow me to pause and offer sincere gratitude. Thank you for being here. Thank you for every like, every comment, every share, every moment you've chosen to come closer to this soul-aligned community. Your presence here is not just appreciated, it's part of something much larger. Your energy is what keeps this space alive. It's what allows messages like this to reach those who truly need them. And if this message is resonating with you already, I invite you to take a moment and comment below. Let it be a declaration of faith, a commitment to your path, and a recognition that yes, this Sunday marks something sacred for you. Write these words if they echo in your spirit. I choose this Sunday as the turning point of my destiny. Stay with me, Leo. What the universe is revealing next is more than just a message. It's a moment of divine alignment. The kind that doesn't just shift your day, it shifts your entire life. Let's begin. Leo, you were never meant to walk an ordinary path. From the very beginning, your soul was seeded with a divine flame, one that doesn't just warm but illuminates. You carry within you a frequency of fire that refuses to be tamed, a radiant courage that persists even when the world turns cold. And although the road you've traveled has been far from easy, that very hardship has been the sacred pressure required to forge gold out of your spirit. You have not been broken, you have been refined. What you've endured was never meant to destroy you, it was designed to distill your essence down to its purest, strongest form. That is what makes this moment sacred. Because now, Leo, you are being called not to restart, but to rise. There are people who walk through life unseen, and there are those who are born to awaken something in others. You belong to the second kind. You've always sensed it through the isolation, the inner chaos, the quiet ache of knowing you were made for more. While others sought approval, you were being pulled inward to confront the deeper terrain of your being. You've sat with questions no one else dared to ask. You've walked through your own wilderness. And in that wilderness, you didn't get lost, you met yourself. That meeting was not a collapse. It was a recalibration. The moment you thought you were falling apart was the moment heaven was actually aligning every fiber of your destiny. Leo energy is solar by nature. It is ruled by the sun, the archetype of truth, brilliance, and divine identity. In tarot, the sun card does not just symbolize joy and vitality, it signals the end of spiritual darkness. It says, the storm has passed. The child steps forward without shame. The soul is seen in full daylight. So when you feel the heaviness lifting, the confusion clearing, the old identities crumbling, know this is not just relief. It's prophecy fulfilled. The awakening you've been praying for is already underway. And it's not a coincidence that your breakthrough is arriving now. Astrologically, this season is activating your solar center, your fifth house of self-expression, purpose, and creative birth. But unlike the fast gains of external success, what's arriving for you is subtler, deeper, and far more enduring. You are not just being offered a new opportunity. You are being given the chance to become the person you were always meant to be. Not the performer. Not the protector. Not the perfectionist. But the soul-lit version of you that simply is, without apology, without shrinking, without compromise. It's here, in this space, that you are reminded, your pain had purpose. The detours were sacred. The silence was protection. The breakdown was the container for revelation. And now, the fruit of everything you've endured is ready to be harvested. You were not waiting for something. You were being prepared to carry something greater. And now that you're ready, the universe is saying, stand up and receive it. The divine doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. And you've shown up, Leo, through tears, through silence, through long nights of unanswered prayer. That's why this moment belongs to you. The darkness behind you wasn't a punishment, it was a sacred cocoon. And now the wings you've grown in silence are strong enough to carry you. This is not just about a new beginning. This is about remembering who you've always been, long before the world tried to make you forget. If any part of you is still wondering if you're ready, let your own heart answer. You didn't come this far to stop now. And you didn't walk through fire to return to safety. You came to light the way. You are not starting over, you are standing up. And this time, you're standing in your full light. Leo, if you've ever felt like you were doing everything right but still getting nowhere, this part of your journey was made for you. This Sunday isn't just a calendar date, it's a spiritual departure point, a reset coded with divine design. In the natural world, Sunday marks the beginning of the week. In energetic terms, it carries the vibration of the number 1, the vibration of initiation, leadership, and courageous new beginnings. And isn't that the essence of who you are? Ruled by the sun, Leo, your entire cosmic architecture is built around radiance, intention, and unapologetic presence. So when Sunday arrives, it's not just another day of rest. It is a portal. It is the station at which your next evolution boards. You see, Leo, not all transformations come with fireworks. Some arrive like a soft breeze that clears the dust off forgotten dreams. Some come through silence. Others, through a gentle nudge that says, try again. This Sunday holds that kind of energy. It isn't asking you to hustle harder or fix yourself. It's asking you to realign with what has always been inside you, your knowing, your purpose, your direction. If you listen closely, you'll hear something shift not outside of you, but within. That inner shift is where true change begins. External rewards only follow internal readiness. And readiness doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it looks like exhaustion, surrender, or a simple willingness to begin again. That's the sacred offering of this Sunday. It's a clean slate, but only if you're willing to show up not for anyone else's idea of who you should be but for the sacred spark that lives in your own soul. There's healing in this space, too. When we slow down enough to align with intention, to drink water consciously, to sit in quiet for just 11 minutes and reconnect with the breath, we begin to clear out the energetic clutter. We raise our frequency from reaction to reception. That's when clarity returns. That's when we stop begging the universe for signs, and instead begin receiving them in every moment. The meditation isn't a ritual of performance, it's a gateway back to self. The journaling isn't a checklist, it's a declaration. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm walking forward in faith, even if I can't see the full path yet. This is how you turn Sunday into a launch pad. By treating it as sacred. By honoring the part of you that knows you're meant for more. And perhaps most importantly, by looking back at all the closed doors and saying, thank you. Because those delays were not punishments, they were precision. They rerouted you, refined you, and led you right here. When you see Sunday through the lens of intention, it becomes something more than a break from your schedule. It becomes a signal to your soul. A day where you say, I'm no longer fighting the current, I'm listening to where it's leading me. And sometimes, the most powerful way to change your life isn't to force new outcomes, it's to change how you start your week. How you breathe on the first morning. How you speak to yourself before the world gets loud again. If this message resonates, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt like you were doing everything right, but nothing was working? If so, comment below with the words, I've been there. Because that truth is sacred. And so is the decision to begin again. This Sunday, choose to see yourself not as stuck, but as being summoned. Not as delayed, but as divinely timed. The train is at the station, Leo. You don't need to know the destination to get on board. You only need to know this: your soul is ready. Sometimes, the most profound breakthroughs don't come with noise. They arrive in silence. And Leo, if you've been sensing a stillness in your Lithia space where progress feels paused, where the outside world seems untouched by your effort, this is not a signal of abandonment. It is a sacred pause. A divine stillness where the deepest kind of rebuilding takes place, not in your circumstances, but in your core. This part of your journey may feel like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, everything is shifting. Your soul is undergoing a recalibration, one that cannot be rushed or broadcast. When things feel quiet on the outside, it's often because something enormous is being restructured on the inside. And that internal shift, though invisible to others, is the most vital step in preparing for the life you've been asking for. In astrology, Leo is a fixed fire sign. It shines. It creates. But it also resists stillness because movement feels like purpose. That's why this silent season may have felt uncomfortable. Because when you're used to being the sun, standing still can feel like fading. But what if this quiet isn't your dimming, but your deepening? In tarot, the Hanged Man speaks exactly to this. Not of punishment, but of perspective. It's the card of surrender, not because you've lost but because there's something you're meant to see differently. Hanging upside down isn't paralysis, it's preparation. It's letting go of control so that clarity can arrive from a place deeper than logic. And paired with the energy of judgment, we are reminded that the silence is never empty. It's a trumpet in the spirit, calling forth a rebirth you may not have words for yet. You might notice strange dreams lately, symbols repeating, faces from your past, doors opening in your subconscious. You might feel emotions you can't explain or a heaviness that has no clear cause. This is how the soul speaks when it is shedding layers. Your nervous system may be feeling things long before your conscious mind can label them. That's not dysfunction. That's awakening. During these next few days, consider keeping a private journal, not for the purpose of tracking outcomes, but for noticing patterns. Write without judgment. Write even when nothing makes sense. Your clarity will arrive, not in one flash of lightning, but in small threads that connect over time. When you honor the inner voice without needing to fix it, you make space for wisdom to rise. There's also a reason you may feel energetically sensitive right now. Your frequency is elevating. And as you shift from old patterns into a new vibration, your body and energy field may crave deeper nourishment, more quiet, or even new rituals. Surrounding yourself with certain colors during this time can help support that shift. Gold evokes spiritual expansion. It reminds your soul of its infinite worth. Deep indigo or midnight blue creates a container of safety, like being held in a sacred womb while transformation occurs. And silver white acts as a balm, purifying thought patterns and helping you trust your intuition when logic falls short. You are not losing your light, Leo. You are being refocused. The silence around you is not rejection, it's refinement. You're not being testidiory, being rebuilt. And when it's time to move again, you won't be walking with the same weight. You'll be walking in alignment. Let yourself receive the stillness as a gift. Because in the quiet, the soul finds its true direction, and when Leo finds direction, the whole world feels the warmth of that fire. There comes a moment in every transformation when the energy shifts not just around you, but through you. Leo, that moment has arrived. You've walked through the fire. You've sat in the silence. And now, something sacred is beginning to move. It's subtle, almost like the first breeze after a long, still summer. But make no mistake, this shift is powerful. This is the moment when the wind of divine timing finally begins to rise and carry you forward. You are no longer pushing. You are being pulled. You're no longer climbing a lonely, being lifted by a current that is both cosmic and deeply personal. In the language of energy, this wind is a sign that you're entering flow. It's not the kind of momentum you create by overworking or forcing outcomes. This flow comes when you begin to align with who you truly are, when you let go of the masks, the roles, the pressures, and instead return to the raw truth of your essence. You don't have to chase anymore. When you're honest in your energy, life responds in kind. The things that belong to you begin to recognize you. Doors open without being knocked on. Conversations find you without effort. Opportunities no longer need to be hunted, they land, often softly, sometimes unexpectedly, at your feet. This is what grace feels like. In astrology, Leo is a fixed fire sign, fiercely driven, deeply loyal, often carrying the weight of the world on its shoulders out of love. But the lesson right now is surrender, not struggle. In this phase of your journey, power doesn't come from striving. It comes from receiving. And you can't receive while clenched. You have to soften. That's why your practice now isn't about pushing, it's about breathing. Each morning, remind your nervous system that you are safe to trust. Say to yourself, I exhale control. I inhale trust. Let this be your permission slip to stop fighting what's already been set in motion for you. The Wheel of Fortune in Tarot reminds us that the cycles of life are real, inevitable, and often far beyond our control. But the wheel has turned in your favor. You're no longer in the waiting season. You're in the riding season. Like catching a wave after paddling for miles, this is the moment when effort meets ease. And when you stand upright in your truth, like Tadasanathi mountain pose, you become unshakable, but open. Rooted, but elevated. That's the energetic posture you're being asked to hold now. Stillness on the inside, openness on the outside. Let yourself feel it. That sense of lightness. That tiny flutter of possibility. That unexplained sense of rightness, even if you don't have all the answers yet. That's the wind. That's the signal that something bigger is working with you. And when you trust it, when you stop grabbing and start allowing, you unlock a frequency that not only supports your journey, but amplifies your presence. You don't need to do more, Leo. You need to be more of who you already are. Not louder. Not busier. Just more present. The more you lean into that authenticity, the more magnetic you become. The world doesn't need a perfect you. It needs a real you. And right now, that's exactly what this sacred wind is asking for. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask what you need to fix. Ask what you're ready to receive. Let your posture speak of trust. Let your breath remind your body that you're safe to soften. Because the moment you stop trying to control the wind is the moment you realize you were always meant to ride it. Leo, after all the cycles you've moved through, after the waiting, the wondering, the wandering, you've arrived at a moment that has been divinely timed for you. And while the world may not have applauded your quiet resilience, while no spotlight may have captured the nights you stayed faithful to your growth, something greater than the world has seen it all. The work you've done in silence, the love you've offered without expectation, the courage you showed behind closed doors, these were never unseen. They were witnessed by the universe itself. And now, the reward isn't coming from applause. It's coming from alignment. This phase of your journey carries the unmistakable energy of spiritual promotion. Not a promotion in the way society defines it, not a job title, not a raise, not recognition in the eyes of others. This is a deeper kind of elevation. A shift in frequency. A turning of the wheel where the spiritual labor you've invested begins to return to you in tangible ways. In astrology, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and divine favor, is activating your sector of visibility, higher calling, and sacred reward. When Jupiter touches your chart in this way, it doesn't just bring external blessings, it opens up new channels through which your internal radiance can now be received by the world. This is why you may feel a subtle shift in the way life is responding to you. You're not chasing as much. People are listening differently. Opportunities seem to be finding you. This isn't luck. This is alignment meeting preparation. It's grace responding to everything you've already poured out. And as this energy rises, you're being invited to step through what I call the Golden Gate, the inner portal that leads from faithful waiting into confident receiving. One way to honor this moment is to take time this weekend, especially on Sunday, to reflect on 3 acts of love or kindness that you've offered quietly in the past, things you did when no one was watching, when no one said thank you, but you did them anyway because it was right. Write them down. Not to prove your worth, but to witness your own sacred integrity. Then light a white candle and a gold one. Not as a ritual to ask for more, but as a declaration that you are ready to receive what's already yours. These colors hold symbolic meaning. White purifies your intentions and renews your energy field, while gold activates recognition, abundance, and divine inheritance. You don't need the world's permission to walk through this gate. You don't need the validation of those who didn't see you. You've already been approved. And the signs are written in the sacred code of numbers: 7, the number of spiritual completion; 10, the symbol of ending and new beginning; and 19, the number that links you directly to the Sun card in tarot, the embodiment of Leo's soul, radiating truth, joy, and divine presence. These aren't just numbers. They're reminders that your path has been marked long before now. And every step, even the painful ones, were walking you straight toward this unlocking. So when you feel the energy shift, when the yes arrives, when the door opens, when the breakthrough unfolds, don't hesitate. Don't question whether you've earned it. You have. Not through effort alone, but through devotion. Through alignment. Through staying true to who you are when it would have been easier to give up. This spiritual promotion is not a reward for performance. It is a natural result of your persistence in becoming. You don't need to do more to receive it. You simply need to say yes to what is already yours. And when you do, the light you've carried all along will finally meet the world that's ready to receive it. Thank you for staying with me until this final moment, because I believe the closing of one message is often the beginning of a deeper commitment. And Leo, this is not just a summary of what you've heard. This is your invitation to live it. You weren't born to wait for a rescue. You were born to rise and lead with light. Everything you've just experienced in this journey, from spiritual reset, to divine stillness, to the rising wind of alignment, was not just information. It was a mirror. A map. A message designed for the exact version of you that's ready to remember their power and act on it. What if everything you've lived through wasn't a delay but a design? What if the silence was sacred, the struggle was sacred, and yes, even the questions you never got answered were shaping you into the one who no longer asks for permission to begin? You are not just someone who was chosen. You are the one who chooses back. You choose to believe in your light. You choose to take action even without all the clarity. You choose to keep going, because something inside you refuses to quit on the dreams seated in your heart. So I ask you now, gently but clearly, what would shift in your life if you began to see yourself as the catalyst? What would open up if you stopped waiting for confirmation and became the confirmation? Are you willing to begin living like the energy you've been calling in is already walking toward you? These questions aren't rhetorical. They're invitations. And if any part of this message spoke to your spirit, let that become a declaration. Write it down. Speak it out. Comment below and say, "I'm ready." Because sometimes the most powerful activations begin with the simplest yes. And while you're here, I want to take a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time, your energy, your openness. Every like, every comment, every share, every subscription not only supports this work, it strengthens this community. It tells the universe, I'm showing up for myself, and I'm showing up for those walking the same path. You are part of something real, something sacred, and your presence means more than you know. If this video stirred something in you, let it live on through action. Take a breath. Light a candle. Reflect on what you've received here. And most importantly, stay connected. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness so you don't miss the next message your soul is meant to hear. Remember, Leo, you didn't come here to shrink. You came here to radiate. The moment is not waiting for you to be more perfect. It's waiting for you to say yes with the heart you already have. So say yes. Say it with your actions. Say it with your trust. Say it with your light. And watch how the world begins to rise up to meet you.